Coldplay tour. Chris talks about his fiancee in front of tens of thousands of viewers. Dakota watches live at home quietly. The night the universe seemed to glow. The stadium was already trembling before the concert even began. Over 70,000 fans filled every inch of the arena, glowing wristbands pulsing like a living constellation. The air buzzed with excitement. Coldplay nights always felt magical, but tonight was different. Even the band members sensed it. Jonny had nudged Chris backstage minutes earlier. "You feel extra nervous today." Chris laughed lightly, brushing invisible dust from his shirt. "Do I?" "Yeah," Jonny replied, "like something's sitting on your heart." Chris had only smiled in response. If only his bandmates knew the truth. Dakota wasn't here tonight. She had planned to come, she always came when she could, but filming delayed keeping her on set until sunrise. Exhausted, apologetic, Shed curled up with a blanket at home, determined to watch every second via the livestream. "Go," she had whispered to him during a call earlier. "Your stage needs you." He had replied softly. "And I need you." It made her cheeks warm even through the screen. Now, hours later, she sat cross-legged on the couch, tea in hand, wrapped in one of his sweaters. The livestream was opened on the massive TV in front of her. As the crowd roared, the camera zoomed in on Chris stepping into the golden light. Dakota felt her heart squeeze. He always looked like he belonged on a stage, but tonight, something felt different. He looked like a man holding something tender in his chest. Something he was ready to share. The opening notes of a night they would never forget. Coldplay concerts were always a galaxy of color, but this one pulsed like a heartbeat. From the first chord of "Higher Power," the stadium erupted, fans singing every word. Chris moved across the stage with familiar ease, bounding, dancing, laughing, but always with a certain softness beneath the energy. Dakota noticed immediately. "He's glowing," she whispered to herself. By the time they reached the acoustic section, the quiet, stripped-down moment of every tour, the energy shifted. The stadium dimmed until it became a sea of shimmering bracelets, like stars waiting for a story. Chris stepped forward alone, guitar strapped around him, spotlight gentle and warm. He took a breath. A deep one. Dakota felt her pulse speed up. She knew that breath. It was the one he took before saying something honest. "There's someone I wish was here tonight." Chris adjusted the microphone slightly, fingers trembling almost imperceptibly. The crowd fell into complete silence, the kind of silence that feels sacred. Dakota's breath caught. Chris cleared his throat softly. "So," he began with a small laugh. "Tonight is special in a very personal way." Fans cheered instinctively, assuming a new song announcement or a surprise guest. Chris waited until the cheers faded. Then he said quietly, sincerely, "There's someone I wish was here tonight." The stadium stilled. Dakota froze. Chris continued, voice soft but steady. "She's watching from home. She couldn't be here because she worked all night and she's exhausted, but she's still watching this live, probably wrapped up in all the blankets in our house." The crowd giggled warmly at his teasing tone. Dakota covered her mouth, already tearing up. Chris smiled, eyes lowered briefly as if picturing her. "And I just wanted to take this moment to say, to her, thank you." Fans murmured. Then quieted again. Dakota pressed a palm against her chest. Chris swallowed. "Thank you for loving me even when I am far away. For being patient with my chaos. For believing in me when I forget to believe in myself." The silence was deeper now, reverent. Dakota whispers at the screen. "Oh, Chris?" His voice trembled slightly as he continued. "You make everything in my life brighter. Softer. Kinder." Tears slipped down Dakota's cheeks. And even you're not physically here tonight, I feel you everywhere. A wave of emotion rippled through the stadium. Fans felt it. Crew members felt it. Dakota felt it most of all. Chris exhaled slowly, looking out at the thousands of glowing lights. I've sung in front of millions of people in my life, but somehow, it's scarier talking to you than to all of them. The entire stadium was gently dismissed. Dakota whined. You're doing perfect? Chris smiled to himself, as if he heard her voice from across the city. Then he softly, tenderly said the words that would echo across the world. My fiancée, Dakota, this one is for you. The stadium erupted. Dakota burst into tears. The song that became a promise. Chris gently strummed the first notes of Everglow. A shimmering hush swept the stadium. The song was already emotional, a Coldplay classic, but tonight, the way he played it was different. Slower, warmer, as if he was pouring every unsent letter, every quiet longing, every held breath into the melody. His voice cracked slightly on the first verse. Not from strain. From feeling. It's the fact that you still. His voice faltered. He closed his eyes, gathered himself. Then continued. That you still light up everywhere you go. Dakota clutched the fabric of his sweater around her. She whispered. Chris, you're going to make me drown in tears. Midway through the song, the camera captured thousands of fans swaying, many openly crying, some holding signs that read, Love wins. Congratulations Chris Dakota. We love your fiancée. We support her. Play Everglow for Dakota. It was overwhelming, the entire stadium glowing like a beating heart. Dakota pressed both hands to her mouth, sobbing quietly. She had expected support. She had expected excitement. But she had never expected this. An entire stadium honoring her love. A speech that left the world breathless. As the song ended, Chris let the final note linger like a feather drifting through eternity. The crowd roared, but he raised his hand to quiet them. I want to say one more thing, he murmured, voice softer than before. The audience settled instantly. I know the world talks a lot. And sometimes, it talks too loudly. Fans nodded. Dakota felt another lump rise in her throat. But love, he continued, love is quiet, gentle, patient. His voice grew even softer. And the woman I love has taught me more about gentleness than anyone. Dakota covered her face with shaking hands. Chris looked out at the endless lights. So tonight, wherever she is, I just want her to know something. The stadium leaned in as one. Dakota leaned closer to the screen. You don't have to be here for me to feel you. You don't have to be perfect for me to love you. You don't have to shout to be heard. He paused. You're already the quietest, strongest place in my life. The audience erupted, screaming, crying, cheering. Dakota whispered through tears. Chris, oh my God? And I can't wait, he said gently, to call you my wife. The stadium lost its mind. Dakota dropped her face into her hands and sobbed openly, the kind of sobs that don't ache, but release. The internet erupts into a wave of love. Within minutes, clips of the speech flooded social media. Fans edited videos showing Chris's speech. Dakota watching from home through a candid selfie video her friend captured. The glowing stadium. The ring on her finger. The moment he said, my fiancé, Dakota? Hashtags trended globally. Hashtag Chris and Dakota. Hashtag Coldplay tour. Hashtag Everglow for Dakota. Hashtag fiancé speech. Hashtag love is loud tonight. Hashtag Dakota we love you. Hashtag best proposal speech ever. Celebrities reacted too. Gwyneth Paltrow. So proud of you, Chris. So happy for you both. Melanie Griffith. My baby girl is loved in the most beautiful way. Selena Gomez. Crying. Actual tears. This is love. Ryan Reynolds. I've seen romantic movies less romantic than this. The world was enchanted. When the concert ended, Dakota finally called. Dakota paced back and forth in the living room, wiping her tears with the sleeve of his sweater. She dialed Chris the second the concert ended. He picked up on the first ring. Hey, he said softly, voice still warm from the stage. She burst into tears again. Chris, why would you say all those beautiful things in front of the entire world? He laughed quietly. I meant every word. She sniffled. I know, but I wasn't prepared. I didn't think you would. He waited patiently for her to breathe. I watched all of it, she whispered. Every second. And I've never felt so loved. Chris's voice dropped to a tender whisper. You are loved. Deeply. Fearlessly. She pressed the phone to her cheek. I love you, she murmured. And I love you, he replied. Did you like the surprise? Dakota let out a shaky laugh. Chris, that wasn't a surprise. That was a global emotional attack. He laughed louder, the kind of laugh she adored. Guess I'll have to top it at the wedding then. Don't you dare, she squeaked. He smiled. I'm coming home to you. She closed her eyes, heart trembling. And I'll be waiting. 8. Epilogue, the quiet night after the roar. Hours later, when the world finally slept, Dakota climbed into bed wearing his hoodie, still feeling the ghost of his voice around her. She replayed the speech in her mind. The gentleness. The truth. The vulnerability. Chris wasn't a man who used his concerts for personal declarations. But tonight, he had opened his heart in the softest way possible. Not dramatic. Not flashy. Not sensational. Just real. Just love. Just them. As she drifted to sleep, Dakota whispered into the quiet. Thank you, Chris, for never being afraid to love me in the open. And somewhere, in a hotel room miles away, Chris whispered into the darkness. Always.